As a dark-skinned Black woman who talks about colorism, one of the most frequent forms of dismissal or denial is what we call straw man attacks and being called jealous in particular. I have been asked by others how I respond whenever I'm called jealous for speaking up about colorism. And so in this video, I'll share 5 of my favorite ways, 5 of my go-to ways for clapping back, okay? And again, a lot of people who are going to accuse you of being jealous are not doing it because they have a logical reason to do so. And so bear in mind as you're thinking about these tips that it's not really about convincing the person to change their mind. It's just a way for you to expose their lack of logic. It's a way for you to expose the fact that they really are colorists. So the first way that I like to clap back is by asking if you would call Dr. Martin Luther King jealous of white people for speaking up for the civil rights of Black people. And most people logically would not say so. Or I might ask, do you think Black Lives Matter protesters are jealous of police officers because they're fighting for justice? Or do you think women who fight for women's rights are doing it only because they're jealous of men? And so the logic of saying people who are standing up for their rights, asking to be treated fairly, asking to be treated equitably, are somehow jealous of the people who have more privilege than them is insulting and just not historically accurate. And so with this clapback, I often say that speaking up for justice and equality is not because I'm jealous. It's actually precisely because I love myself that I'm willing to stand up and speak out about the ways that people are treating me unfairly, and that I'm demanding to be treated equitably and fairly in society. Now, my second way of clapping back that I really like when people accuse me or other dark-skinned women of being jealous for speaking up about colorism is I'd like to ask, of what exactly? What exactly do you think I have to be jealous of? Now, when you ask this question, pause and let them stumble over their answer, let them deflect, let them be dismissive. The goal here, again, because anyone who would accuse you of being jealous because you're speaking out against inequality and systemic marginalization is not really here to learn. Their minds are not really open to receive logical facts, logical research, logical reasoning, okay? And so ask them to itemize, to list all the reasons you would be jealous. And they can't do that without doing one of two things. One, they'll either expose the fact that they are in fact colorist, or they'll have to backtrack on their accusation of calling you jealous in the first place. No answer that they could give to the question of what exactly I have to be jealous of would do anything other than prove your point that colorism is a social problem. And there's no way for people to really answer that question without revealing that they themselves harbor deep colorist beliefs and biases. I'd also like to briefly pause at this point in the video to announce that I'm launching my new Colorism Healing course for parents. So if you are a parent or a primary caregiver of Black or brown children, this course is for you. It includes a complete system for helping your child in a colorist society. I have a link in the description box where you can sign up for more information. Okay, back to the content. So the third way that I often clap back as a person who teaches about colorism very often is with the facts, with the research, with the systemic inequality. And so we know that if it were just a matter of me being jealous, that there would be no data, no research, no historical evidence to the reason why I am speaking up about this. But we know that the research on healthcare shows that lighter skinned people have better health outcomes across countries, across racial and ethnic groups, that darker skinned people are more likely to receive lower quality medical treatment, more likely to be misdiagnosed. We know that medical technology performs better on people with lighter skin tones, right? And then when we think about education, for example, we know that there's discrimination and inequality and judgment and prejudice and bias that happens in education, so that even for siblings, those with the lightest skin tones have better educational outcomes. We see the research that teachers and educators have higher expectations for their lighter skin students and lower expectations for darker skin students. Again, this happens across races, across ethnicities, across regions of the globe. We see the differences in pay gaps, where even amongst people of the same race, those with the lightest skin tones earn the highest amount of income and have the higher status jobs, despite levels of education and work experience interviewers perceive lighter skinned applicants of different racial backgrounds as being more competent, being more professional, being more qualified for the job, right? Because of widespread colorist biases. And so when you look at the research, the inequality, the injustice, the social hierarchy is undeniable. And so I like to use the research to emphasize that it's not a matter of me being jealous. It's a matter of me having righteous indignation that there is injustice happening towards me and other people who look like me. Now, a fourth way that I like to clap back towards the accusation that I'm jealous as a dark-skinned woman who speaks up about colorism is I like to say, no, I'm not jealous, but you certainly are colorist for even making the assumption. So the thing is, the truth is that the accusation that a dark-skinned woman is jealous of a light-skinned woman is inherently colorist, right? And so again, as people who speak up about this, we have to practice discernment of where to put our energy, where to expend our time and our valuable intellectual and emotional resources and capital. And know that anyone who's going so far as to just dismiss you as being jealous is really not worth your time and effort to try to educate. There are lots of people out there in the world who are eager to learn, who are open-minded, who are actively seeking the truth. And so if someone calls you jealous, just know that they are colorist for making that accusation to begin with. And so you can simply say, no, I'm not jealous, but you clearly are colorist. Thanks for your transparency. And then move on to talk to and educate people who are really ready to learn. And by the way, I'd love to know what your favorite clapback is, or if you have additional ideas on how to clap back. So leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. And then the fifth way that we can clap back, and maybe this isn't really a clap back, but it's definitely a very powerful and impactful response, is you can simply